What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be bringing you an updated method to be fully AFKing Vindicta with magic. This method is easily the safest and most reliable method to be AFKing Vindicta. It's not quite the fastest, but considering it's so AFK, I think it's worth updating this video. So if you got your hands on the new dual wield magic weapons, definitely be checking out this method as a very easy and pretty solid AFK moneymaker. So starting off with the preset, before we get into this, I do want to note that if you don't have all of this gear, that's okay. You won't be getting the fastest kills per hour, but you can definitely be making quite a bit of downgrades work here. So definitely keep that in mind. Figure out what works for you with the gear you have, and you should be able to get a pretty decent method working as long as you have basic gear you need to make this work. But for the relics, starting out, Persistent Rage, this is 100% required. We want to be starting every single kill with Sunshine, so this is going to get us to that point and definitely be getting Persistent Rage. Conservation of Energy is really good here. Some people maybe won't have access to this. I know the requirements are pretty high, but if you can get Conservation of Energy as well, it is definitely pretty helpful to be pumping out as much damage as fast as possible and getting some of your strongest abilities out early so you can get multiple casts of them. So definitely be trying to get this as well. And then same thing with Fury of the Small, does pretty much the same thing. It lets us get more adrenaline so we can get more powerful abilities out. So definitely be trying to get those relics, at the very least, get Persistent Rage and Fury of the Small. For the Familiar, the Blood Pouncer, auto-collecting your loot is really good here. This method's basically focused around auto-collecting the loot, so you can pretty much just AFK and not have to worry about anything. So definitely be using that. For the gear setup, like I said, you can make quite a bit of downgrades here work, but the important things to have are at least 3 pieces of Crypt Bloom. If you have lower tier weapons or something, you probably are going to want 4 pieces or even maybe 5 pieces, but definitely be trying to get at least 3 pieces of Crypt Bloom. And like you can see, I have the helmet and boots, and then I have a big piece, so I have the top as well. I would probably try to use the helmet, boots, and at least a leg or top. If you're using helmet, boot, and glove, it might get a little shaky, especially if you're using a full book. For the gloves, I really like the Carapax wrist wraps here. They're honestly better than the tier 95 weapons, which is crazy because the tier 95 weapons are just not consistent or reliable. So definitely be trying to work these into your setup because they're very strong, especially if you can get the enchantment. The enchantment makes these very powerful. For the ring, you could use any ring you want, like a Luck of the Dwarves or whatever, but I use the Channeler's ring. The only thing to note about the ring is if you use a Reaver's ring, you're not at 100% accuracy, so I would try to avoid using the Reaver's ring with this setup and either use a Channeler's or like a Luck of the Dwarves or something. For the weapons, you can see we have the Ode to Deceit, as well as the Roar of the Awakening, the new tier 95 dual wields. These are pretty strong. I find them to be a little bit better than an Inquisitor staff, even with the enchantment on it. So if you can get your hands on these, definitely be picking them up. I mean, they're very cheap at the moment because they're just super common from normal mode. So definitely be picking up a set of these. If you don't have this, you can, like I said, use an Inquisitor. You could honestly even use like a Nox Staff or something like that as well. For the cape, you can see we have a Zuck cape. This is pretty powerful here. I would try to get a Zuck cape if you're going to be doing this method. It makes your kills significantly faster, so definitely be trying to get your Zuck cape for this as well. And then you can see we have the highlighted Amulet of Souls. We pretty much 100% need this. We need the extra soul split healing, so definitely pick this up. And then we also 100% need to have the penance aura here. Like I said, this is focused around being as efficient as possible. So using the penance aura is just way better than using the powder of penance. So definitely be using that and then just resetting it if you need extra hours or whatever. And then for the book, you can use the new Scripture of Amiskit, but the Scripture of Full is easily the best in slot here. The extra damage is just crazy, and it doesn't really matter that you take the extra damage because you're tanking so much hits that it doesn't really matter. So definitely be trying to use a Scripture of Full, but like I said, other scriptures work perfectly fine as well. The inventory is very basic. We just have potion reservoirs and then overload salves. The salves seem pretty important, especially if you have the next AOD curse, Malevolence I think it's called. Definitely be using salves. You might be able to get away with normal overloads if you're just using like the tier 92 version of the prayer or whatever. So yeah, keep that in mind. And then also, we just have like a spring cleaner, an Excalibur just in case, and then some Lantidime incense here. So it's a pretty basic preset, but like I said, you can easily downgrade quite a bit here if you need to. So definitely keep that in mind if you don't have this gear. All right, guys. So to finish up the preset, we're going to go over the perks here. So you can see we are using Precise 6 as well as Aftershock 4, Eruptive 2. And then we also have Biting 4 and then Relentless 5, Crackling 4. You definitely don't need these, but they do help out quite a bit if you can get them. And then we also use Impatient 4. You can see we also have a Scavenging on here because we can. And then also, if you're using the Carapax wrist wraps, definitely try to get the enchantment. I think it's called the Enchantment of Flames, but I could be wrong on that. But the enchantment for the Carapax wrist wraps with this action bar is incredibly strong. You get an extra 15% damage on your combusts, and since every single combust we're using is pretty much getting boosted by Dragon Breath, this actually gives us a pretty significant amount of extra damage. So if you can get your hands on this, definitely pick one up. It does help out quite a bit for this method. And you can see we also have the legendary pet here. And then for the spell that we're using, we're going to be casting Exsanguinate. This gives us an extra 12% damage on our basic attacks, especially our Magma Tempest as well as Concentrated Blast. So this is going to be an incredibly good ability to be using. And then finally, we just use Animate Dead. And then we use our damage boosting prayer as well as soul split. And then we just, drink an overload. I already have one active. And then we will enter the instance here. Make sure you turn on your God book. And then we just enter the instance here, go through the gate. And then we want to stand in this spot here. So you surge once and then bladed dive diagonally. You can see diamond, diamond, and this line. And this is the rotation that we do. So you can see we immediately will use Magma Tempest and then Sunshine. And then we will Concentrated Blast here, get our Dragon Breath out, and then we boost our Combust with the Dragon Breath, as you can see. And then we will Concentrated Blast our Wild Magic here, use an Asphyxiate, and then, use some more basic abilities here. And it will Creator Concentrated Blast our Omni Power here as well. And then we also get another boosted Combust here after the next Concentrated Blast. As you can see, we get another Combust there. So as you guys can see, the enchantments for the gloves are actually pretty strong with this method because we're always getting our boosted combusts. And unfortunately, it flew away with like 1 HP left and we got a 45-second kill. But yeah, as you can see, I'm just going to put this little chat box here for you guys to check out kill times here. And then I'm going to have a bunch of kills sped up here in the background. So we'll just clear this out so you can see what all of the kill times are. But yeah, this method is super consistent. It gets anywhere from, like I said, 50 to maybe 52 kills per hour if you're, I guess, lucky. If your character does move from this square, you should try to get it back in place. It doesn't really matter that much, but as you can see, Vindicta will immediately attack you when you're standing on this square. So that definitely will help out a little bit in terms of kill times, but it's not really that important at the end of the day. But yeah, if you're getting 52 kills per hour, that should get you about 20 million GP per hour. So that's a pretty solid AFK moneymaker. And like I said, it's super safe, super reliable, and you almost never die here. The only time you'll ever really die is if you, is probably if your Animate Dead or Overloads wear off. So, maybe make an Alt 1 alert for those two things. But other than those two things running out, you really should never run into many problems here. And the kill times are pretty consistent. I've seen as low as 37 seconds. You might get like a few 45 or 46-second kills, but the kill times are incredibly consistent. And yeah, I think this overall is a pretty solid way to do AFK Vindicta, especially if you want something that's a little bit safer than melee. It's not quite as fast. I mean, melee gets about like 33-second kills, but this is so much safer that if you're gonna be like leaving the room, going on a walk or whatever, this is probably going to keep you alive for the entire duration until your character logs out. So really good for those methods. One other thing to note is you can use an enhanced luck potion if you're not using a Luck of the Dwarves. I didn't have any in my bank and I wasn't going to make one, but you can use that to boost your drop chance by a little bit. It definitely does help out in the long run. Or just use a Luck of the Dwarves. It's really not that big of a deal, but I think it's worth mentioning that because if you're going to be doing a ton of kills here, it is definitely worth using a luck potion to be boosting your drop rates. So definitely keep that in mind, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this type of video here and a little update to one of my older guides. And I think with the new dual wield magic set, it is pretty good. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this video helped some people, and honestly, I think in the future, if Magic gets a few more upgrades, maybe another ability or some sort of armor with the set effect, I think this method will be really, really strong. We're talking like 35-second kills, 100% consistently. So yeah, I'm hoping in the future this method gets even better, and I'll keep you updated if that happens. But yeah, if you guys like this video, be sure to drop a like on it. It does help promote the channel. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.